Hi, welcome back, everybody that's joining us again, and for all of you that are joining the Ed Hour for the first time, we're glad that you're here with us. Rico and I are your co-hosts for the Ed Hour, and for those of you, again, first joining us, the purpose of this show is to feature significant accomplishments of our teachers, students, and schools within the Norcross cluster and the general Peachtree Corners area, as well as talk about issues that impact education. And we're thrilled today to have as our guest Todd Marschke, the newly appointed principal for Pinckneyville Elementary School. And
Middle school.
Middle school. Did I say elementary? See, you can tell where my kids are. They're still in elementary school, so everything in my life is elementary. So Pinckneyville Middle School. Thanks, Todd, and really appreciate you being here with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rico and Alan. It's a pleasure and it's an honor, and I'm very excited to take on the new role at Pinckneyville, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. So, Todd, if you would just kind of tell us about yourself, so that everybody listening and watching can get to know more about you as a person, and also your background in education as well. Absolutely.
I'm a member of the community. I live here in Peachtree Corners. My wife and I moved here probably about 12 years ago. We have 3 beautiful children that all go to school in the Norcross cluster. My youngest son, Owen, will be starting kindergarten next year at Simpson Elementary, and Davis will be going into 3rd grade at Simpson. And my daughter's going to be at Pinckneyville Middle School with me in 6th grade. She attended Peachtree, and we are big fans of Peachtree. Had a great time there, but we did get redistricted, and so we've been at Simpson ever since. And she had an awesome time at Simpson. I'm Gwinnett County. I am a product of Gwinnett County. I went to kindergarten in Gwinnett County at Head Elementary, which is in the Brookwood cluster. I graduated from Shiloh High School, and I've only ever worked in Gwinnett County. I just finished my 20th year. I was at Cruz Middle School in the Brookwood cluster. I taught there for 9 years, and when I left, I was teaching 6th grade gifted math and science, and just loved that. It was an awesome community, great place to really cut your teeth, so to speak. And from there, I got my first admin job at Lanier Middle School, which back then was a part of the North Gwinnett cluster. That was before the split with Norcross, or North Gwinnett Middle School, I'm sorry. And I was an AP there for 2 years. And then for the last 9 years, I've been at the Gift Center West, which is just right down the road from here. Right. And I was principal there for the last 6.5, and what an awesome place. I mean, the Gift Center, I think everyone ought to have to go through there at some point in time. It's very much like mission work. It's just a lot of fun. Help a lot of kids that need it, and it was just a great place to be for the last 9 years. But I'm ready for a new challenge, and that's why I'm here at Pinckneyville, and I can't be more excited to be the principal at Pinckneyville, and to try to take the baton that Marcy handed to me and move the school forward.
You were saying before that the first day, when I asked you earlier, what was the first day and how did that feel? You said I think it was June 23rd. You walked in like the day after you were appointed.
Yeah.
How'd that feel, doing that? Walking into a new school, knowing that, and I didn't realize your daughter is going to be attending as well. I didn't get that before. So how's that going to all feel like?
It's going to be great. It's when I walked in, to meet the teachers and speak with them, and then that was, I love people. I'm all about relationships. And so, those relationships already, you started forming those from the second you walk in the building, talking with folks. And then as soon as we got done with that, we started already getting down to business. Marcy and I and Miss Goodman, our superintendent, assistant superintendent, we started hitting the ground, things that need to get done, and going through a laundry list of things that I need to do from the beginning. So, yeah, just hitting the ground running from day one. I mean, that's the job. And having Lauren there, that's going to be neat. I never planned it that way. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you, my mom worked at Head Elementary when I was there.
Oh, really?
And then it gets better. It gets better.
So you know how that feels.
I know exactly how that feels because she followed me to Shiloh Middle School. I know. I swore I would never do that to my kids, but now here I'm doing it. But I asked Lauren her permission. I said, "How's this going to make you feel if this happens?" And she was excited about it. So she gave me her blessing. So
That's good.
Yeah. So that's going to be neat. It's going to be neat. She's trying to talk me into a cell phone. And I said, "You don't need a cell phone because I'm going to be right there. If you need anything, just come to the front office." And
if she gets sent to the office at school, you're going to know about it.
I'll be the first to know. Exactly right. So,
what a great feeling.
Yes.
Somehow, I don't think that she's going to have that problem.
No,
So.
I don't. Lauren won't be that one. That will be Owen, the one that's going into kindergarten. He might be the one that ends up in the front office when I'm there. So.
Nice. And so you've lived in Peachtree Corners for how long?
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
And what brought you all to Peachtree Corners?
That's a great question. We were in the Grayson area, and Kate worked at the King and Queen building. She works for Verizon, and to be honest with you, I think it was the Wednesday before Christmas that year, and I'm not exact. Maybe it was 2005, somewhere 2006, somewhere around there. It took her probably 3 hours to get home that day.
Wow. And
so the realization just came that, that's not going to be healthy to raise a family in. And so we started looking, and Peachtree Corners, has just so much to offer. From just a great place to raise your family, to the great schools in the area, obviously, and then, even down to things like great restaurants and places to go out with your with your friends. It was a great area. It was somewhat close to the King building where she worked, and it was also not too far from Alpharetta, what she had to go to travel to sometimes. So that's what brought us over here. And I grew up on the other side of Gwinnett County, Shiloh, Brookwood area, and I never lived over here. So this just felt like home to us.
Yeah. And it brings up a question is, so you came up through, as you said, Gwinnett County schools. What's your perspective of Gwinnett County schools from when you went through them as a student, starting at an early age, and your perspective now as an administrator in our school system?
As a student, I'll be honest with you. I didn't really, I don't know that I could have appreciated all that Gwinnett County stands for, just because I didn't know any different. But when I was in college, we did have some student teaching experiences outside of Gwinnett, and that's when it hit me. I said, "This is not where I came from. This is not what I'm used to," and I knew right then and there Gwinnett County was where I wanted to work. It is world class. Gwinnett County is, it's the largest employer in the state of Georgia, and it just from little things, from the professionalism you see at our district meetings to how they support their principals and their teachers to bottom line how we support kids and how we move kids and everything else in between. I knew if you step away from it, that's where you want to be.
It's amazing how Gwinnett County, not just the school systems like Gwinnett Parks and some of the other departments, unbelievable when it comes to the way they run and the way the 5-star performance, really. It's no wonder that sometimes even Gwinnett Parks wins national awards the same way our students win national awards. They go on to things like what was that recent Odyssey of the Mind? That was they won their division for world champion in Iowa. Simpsonwood kids. So, to see the amount of education, the amount of work, and the quality of talent, both teaching and on the other side of that, retaining the kids, it's unbelievable. So it's all about the teachers, really, right? About the administrators. You're stepping into Marcy. My son just graduated Pinckneyville Middle School. Yeah, so you're stepping into those shoes. Big shoes, little shoes, but different shoes, right?
Absolutely.
And you're taking over. How does that, do you come to it with a different, not agenda, I'm sure you don't want to, you have a different way maybe of doing things, maybe the same. Do you see anything that you want to adjust a little bit? Do you see anything What do you see when you walk down those halls? Where do you feel? I'm sure everyone wants to put some sort of fingerprint on what they do.
Absolutely. You know, everybody wants to leave their own mark, so to speak. One of the things with Marcy, I mean, she was phenomenal. She's got the school in a great place instructionally, and that is the bottom line. We got to move our kids. When they come to us, we got to move them, and we got to perform at high levels, and that's one of the main tasks that we're all assigned to do. So, you know, I coming in as the new guy, they're doing great things. I need to learn from the teachers and the community at Pinckneyville just as much as they need to learn from me. Mm-hmm. So to come in, I need to, you know, I really want to sit back and observe and ask questions, and then that's hard to do sometimes because you come in and you got, you know, you want to move some things and change some things, but really, I mean, I really need to sit back and just in the beginning and make sure that I don't move too fast, so to speak. They're doing really good things there. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that I would like to maybe look at to enhance the learning experience there is maybe some community service opportunities. I think we have we got 2 high schools in this cluster. Mm-hmm. You know, if you want to go to Georgia these days, you have to have hundreds of hours of community service. Yeah. So we got a lot of high school kids that need these hours, mm-hmm. and we definitely have opportunities in our schools where we could use the student support on that. So that's something that I definitely am very interested in looking into down the road.
Middle school kids volunteering, being part of the community, gaining those hours. Same way high school kids do, right?
That and leveraging some support from the high school kids to come down and work maybe with some of our high school kids or middle school kids. I'm sorry. Right. You know, and you know, I'm not to get too ahead of myself, but I mean, those are just ideas right now. Mm-hmm. It's something that working with the Norcross cluster principals that I would definitely like to look into. And for example, you know, you have some kids who may be struggling with some behavior issues, and you got some upperclassmen at the high school that are good role models that could really support and help those kids. So that would be a really neat. And they need the hours, you know. Yeah. They need the hours, and we could use some good role models.
What a great idea, actually. You know, you have these kids that have to do community work, 40 hours, I think, per year, I think is the way that works with Norcross. Well, you have to have at least 40 hours at some point. But they're not too much older than the middle school kids they would be working with. I mean, and when you're looking up at another kid that's only a few years older than you, and they're that good role model, you know, that's something to attain. I mean, I'm sure there are kids that probably would take more encouragement from that, let's say, than from a teacher. Maybe.
Absolutely.
You know, the same way kids don't get coached by their dads, they get coached by the coach.
Or the neighbor.
Or the neighbor, right.
So it's,
exactly.
It's like, wait a second. Yeah. But, well, and you know, talking about, you know, role models and the importance and helping kids that are challenged, and you know, maybe before we dive further into your plans for Pinckneyville, maybe I'd like to, because I think a lot of people are not familiar with Give West and what it does. Could you maybe take a moment just to tell us a little bit about Give West and what the work that's done there, and then maybe perhaps how some of that experience you have there can be an asset to Pinckneyville as well, in addition to obviously your core experience as an administrator. But
absolutely, I'll never pass an opportunity to talk about Give West. It's when you work there, it kind of gets in your blood, it's in your heart, and it's an awesome place. Give Center West, we served about 23 schools in Gwinnett County. Mm-hmm. Typically have around 200 to 350 students at any one time, and all those students. Not all of them, not 100%, but the large majority of them are remanded through a disciplinary panel. So they're there for one reason, and that's behavior. We know that. The one reason they're there is typically for behavior. So, you know.
Sorry, what grades?
6 through 12.
Okay.
6 through 12. So, one of the things you learn working at Give is the importance of relationships. I mean, a lot of times these kids come in and they're frustrated. Their parents are frustrated. They're frustrated. They've been out of school they've been suspended for 9 or 10 days, and probably rightfully so. A lot of them, I mean, sometimes, their behavior has led to things that they had to go through this. But we're there to help. We're not there to hold that against them. We're there just to help move them forward. One of my soapboxes there was always, look, going through life, everyone makes mistakes, and life is about learning from those mistakes and moving forward. And we got to learn from this mistake, and if we do, you might look back in 20 years from now and look at this whole experience and sitting at the Thanksgiving dinner table with your mother and may even laugh about it. Mom, do you remember the time I got sent to that school? What was the name of it? Oh, Give West. Yeah. That could be the picture for some of these kids. But then again, if we don't learn from those mistakes and we keep making the same mistakes over and over, 20 years from now, what will that look like? So we didn't really care why you were sent to us. We were all about moving forward and building a relationship with those kids, and you find out if you have that relationship piece with them, the kids will do anything for you. They will rise to the occasion. They have to believe in you, they have to trust in you, and you have to do the same with them.
I think you mentioned even some of the kids actually went on to like dual enrollment or
Absolutely.
onto Georgia Technical.
Gwinnett Tech. Yes. So we did. We had a program at Gwinnett Tech. It wasn't for the entire population. We started small. We had about 6 students last semester who actually we called it West Hope Academy, and they were enrolled in Gwinnett Tech, taking courses while they were taking courses at the Give Center. So, again, taking a situation where a kid made a bad mistake, they were removed from their traditional school, they come to the Give Center West, and now a lot of them were the first members of their family to ever take a college course. So, just trying to take a negative and turn it into a positive, So, that was a great. We worked really close with Give East on that, and just again trying to create opportunities for kids. Not every path is not every kid goes down the exact same path. So trying to make as many different paths and opportunities for kids as you can, just to get them to that finish line and get them across.
And that's why I like the idea of having high school kids coming in as role models too, because sometimes seeing the path has to be from sort of the same age range. They might realize, and something might snap in them to say, that's what I want to do, because maybe Tom or Harry or Jane said, she's into this. She wants to go to college to become a nurse or astronomer or whatever. And something changes in kids when they see that role model being able to do that. I think that's a fantastic idea to be able to bring that to a middle school range to do that.
Yeah. Well, and so, as you said, the goal is to try to get them to the finish line. So one of the I think things that we have to contend with in Gwinnett County is there's a lot of transition through our schools from people that are living in our school district or in our clusters for short periods of time sometimes, and then moving through, and other people coming into our system. So I see that always as a challenge to our teachers and administrators. But that aside, or understanding that at least, what's the graduation rate like at Give West versus a traditional high school for the population that actually enters Give West and is not victim to being just transitioning out of the cluster, but really making it through the program if they continue to live in the area?
That's a good question. I don't know that I can answer that because Give West it was such a transitional. It is in constant state of transition, so to speak, because a lot of those kids are remanded there for a calendar year, so that could fall from October to October, November to November. So they're not. It's not once you're there. That's where you stay. Oh no,
you go there and they can work back into the regular
Absolutely,
school.
Absolutely, yeah. So the longest that they can be remanded there is 1 calendar year.
Okay.
And so so the idea is, ultimately we would like to transition them successfully back to their home school and then ultimately graduate from that home school.
Yes.
But we did have situations where, kids that might have been their second or third time there, and it just wasn't working. So then we would keep them. And again, try to find a unique, creative way to make them recover credits and to move on and to get some of that college or post-secondary experience and go as far as they can. So, I don't know that I would have a graduation because we didn't actually graduate kids from there. We weren't allowed to, but
so if they graduate, they go back to the home school to graduate. See, I wasn't aware that they actually the whole plan is to transition them back into the regular high school. So that sounds like a great.
I think some of these kids come out of juvenile court.
Sometimes,
right?
Sometimes.
They have to go to a school like that to be able to work their way back into the system. It just gives them a different way instead of going
nice. And
serving.
I actually like that better than what I thought how it worked, because the whole goal is to remediate, as you said, and part of that is putting them back, getting them back to where they're with their peers in a regular environment that they're used from, and being successful in that environment. So
absolutely, they. And I'm going to be honest. I mean, not every single kid that came there was successful. I don't know. There's a student, but a lot of them were. But there was a student I'd like to talk about specifically. He spoke at our. He came back to give and spoke, and Fox 5 was there, and they did a big cover story on him. But this particular student was. When he was in 8th grade, he went out of my office in handcuffs. He had 89 discipline referrals in 8th grade. And you think about that, 89 discipline referrals, and went out of my office in handcuffs. And I received a phone call about 3 or 4 years later. My counselor said, "This kid really wants to speak to you." And I was like, oh my, I to be honest with you, I didn't remember the name. I mean, I recalled the name, but I couldn't place it. And I looked him up in our student information system and saw that in high school he had 1 referral. And it was in 9th grade. It was when he first got there. And so I picked up the phone and called him. And the first words he said to me, he said, "I just want to thank you for what you guys did for me. I want to give back." And that's pretty cool. That's pretty powerful. That's why we do this work, right? That's good stuff. So, so he totally changed his life around. And to be honest with you, I can't really take credit for that because he wasn't all that successful when he was with me at Give West. But he was able to. But he didn't forget. We planted a seed in him, and he carried that with him, and he wanted to come back and talk to our kids, and he did. He came back several times and spoke to our kids, and he got picked up by some other folks in the district and spoke at several other schools, and just did an awesome job. And he's in college right now. He's at Georgia State University. He had a couple of wrestling scholarships. I think he was one of the first wrestlers to make it to state at Berkmar in many years, but. Just a great kid, and he'd come back and mentor some of our kids and talk with our kids, and I still stay in touch with them. And so it's stories like that where you go, man, that's good stuff.
It
just takes one influence in a young life to really turn it around.
Sometimes it's like that experience of the 89 citations, but someone else along the way nudged him a little bit more. So it's the people in your path. Sometimes that's just one, like you said, you can't take full credit for it, but. It's that system. Mm-hmm. That's why Gwinnett, I think, produces so many great athletes, so many great scholars, and the amount of people that we produce that go on to attain things. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I guess we'll transition now and focus on what's top of your mind now, which is your new role in Pinckneyville and getting ready to transition to the school and or transitioning the school, getting the school ready to open. It's hard to believe that this is July 19th.
Yes.
And Meet Your Teacher Day is August 3rd.
Yes.
And school starts Monday, August 6th.
I know.
that I'm.
I told my
as parents, we're all parents. It's shocking, and it's still spring. And I thought
I told my kid that because I got an email from Paul Duke, and I told my kid that. He's like, stop. It's still summer. Don't want to hear about school yet. So he's not psyched up yet.
I mean, goodness, there's. I don't know where the time goes, but I know that even the stores already have Halloween decorations in some of the stores. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's just as we get older. I'm not sure what happens. But when I was a kid, summers were forever. And
well, I don't know about you, but my summer didn't end until Labor Day? It was the end of August. Mm-hmm. Here, the kids go to school at August 6th. We didn't go until September something. So, but different. So, going back to Alan's question, how is what do you expect to do? Where do you want to start?
Coming in, just trying to, anytime you come into a new building, again, forging relationships, getting to know the front office staff and your custodial staff and those types of folks. And, so I've been doing a lot of that, talking with a lot of folks. I want to hear from the people at Pinckneyville. What makes it so great?
And that staff hasn't changed, right? You're the only new addition to the staff as far as
of June 23rd. Yes, okay. There is some turnover. There was some turnover this year, but that took place back in March through our teacher transfer process, and so we will have some new folks there. But and then anything from one of the things, some of the things that just a different eye, maybe if you will, is just some of the I've been working real close with maintenance and facilities and operations to try to get some things done around the school. The school's in great shape. It's a beautiful building. Mm-hmm. Someone who's new coming in. Get some paint up on the walls here and some cleaning over there and maybe pull out a bush or tree here or there and get some pine straw and some fresh grass put down in certain areas, things like that. I want to come in slow and I want to learn from the folks there as much as I can. Mm-hmm. One of the big things, transitioning like this in the summertime like that, is just getting school open. We gotta. That's a big to do. That's one of the craziest times of the year for a principal is opening the building and getting everything ready and making sure that kids have classes to go to and you got schedules everywhere and you got teachers and all your processes and procedures are in place. So definitely been focusing on those kinds of things, and getting ready to lead the teachers. Again, our charge this year is going to be to keep doing the same great things instructionally that Marcy started and did such an awesome job at. Again, I have just as much to learn from them as they do me. So I'm really looking forward to that.
So what are, in addition, obviously, to getting acclimated to the staff and that school, what things are you doing for that school to prepare it for fall opening? What types of things, in addition to getting the physical plant ready, are all the teachers hired now? What other things do you have to focus on right now?
Yeah, hiring is a big one. We do have some hiring left to do. We have some special ed positions. We have just a couple of those left, but those are somewhat difficult to fill at this point of the year. So we are working on that. That is a big one right now. We're actually going to be hosting a job fair Monday at Pinckneyville for special ed positions. Yes, from 9 to 11.
How does that work? Does the middle school do the hiring like that, or does the county sort of direct that stuff?
Well, that's just something that I'm doing. I need to lay my eyes on as many folks as possible to get these positions filled. So this is something that I'm doing.
It's this. In case anyone's listening is looking for a job, it's this Monday.
Monday
At what time?
9 to 11.
9 to 11 at Pinckneyville Elementary School.
Middle school.
Middle school. Yeah. See, I keep on. And when we're in middle school, I'll probably still be saying elementary school for a while. So at Pinckneyville Middle School. And is there a number they should contact if someone were interested? Is there a main school number for them to call? Or
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't have that. I might need to look that up. I don't have that off the top of my tongue right now.
We send it to us and we'll put it on the website.
Okay.
I just want to mention a couple of people, along with quite a few people listening.
Hang on just a second. I got the number. Sorry. I just Googled it real quick. So it's 770-263-0860. 770-263-0860, Pinckneyville Middle School.
And again, it's just going to be a screening. So I want to, the admin team, we're going to, again, we want to see as many folks as we can and see, try to put our eyes on someone who might be a fit. And again, it's a screening probably process, 5-15 minutes. And then if we think you might be a fit, we may ask you to stay back and maybe answer some other questions a little bit deeper in thought type thing.
I just want to mention a couple of people that are listening. Xenia Kaplan.
Yeah. I think I may know her.
You might know her, right? Go Daddy.
That's great. That must be my son watching.
Paula Berry wishes Todd a good luck. Sandra St. John Heppeley has joined us. She would like us to talk a little louder. Probably I'm the lowest voice here, probably, but on Facebook. So hopefully you can hear us. She has the sound up high, but normally this is a good volume. But feel free to comment in. If anyone has questions on Facebook, feel free to put it into the comments area, and we'll talk about that too.
Awesome. So now, y'all, I think you had mentioned before that I guess there's been some work going on around the school itself.
Yeah.
Around Pinckneyville. Kind of tell us about what's going on around the school.
Yeah. Again, I just like to thank our facilities and operations folks for really working with us this summer. We got oh my goodness, probably 200-300 bales of pine straw.
Oh my God!
Put out. We got some trees moved. Got a bunch of trees trimmed back. We got the entire. Thank you to my custodial staff. We got the entire all the sidewalks and curbs pressure washed this summer. Got a lot of gum off the sidewalks, things like that. Just trying to.
Because they're not allowed in the classroom with it, right?
That's right.
Did you do anything with the track and field out there?
We are. We have not done anything yet, but I noticed there was a low-lying area out there that kind of holds water, and that's a community place. I say a lot of our community folks come out there and use that track to walk in the mornings or in the evenings, there is something in the works to try to get that corrected, so the track will be not a portion of it won't be underwater when it rains. So, working on that. Getting the building pressure washed. Thanks to Jeff Rager and his crew, they sent some folks in to help us with the floors. So we got every square inch of flooring in the building has been stripped and re-waxed, things like that. We're working on trying to get some paint on the main hallways and some other things, but just trying to the building's 35 years old and
you guys have capacity or student-wise? Are you where are you?
The last number I checked, we were at 1,282. Okay. Last year, I want to say we were just over 1,300, so I'm certain we'll be over that number at this point in the game. There will be a lot of folks who register. Right now, we got registration happening every Tuesday and Thursday. Matter of fact, they were there this morning, and a lot of folks showing up to register their children.
What are the hours for registration, Tuesday and Thursday?
That's a great question. I believe it starts at 8 o'clock and goes up until noon.
Great.
Is there anything, as far as Gwinnett County, sometimes there's, especially with the State House passing laws and such, anything from Gwinnett County schools, any new rules, any new programs that they want to implement this year that they're pushing along?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't think of any right off the top of my head. There's always a constant stuff constantly coming down. But
well, I think, and maybe I don't know if it started last year, but isn't there a new STEAM concentration in Pinckneyville or a new? I guess it started maybe a year ago or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about the STEAM focus at Pinckneyville.
Absolutely, it's the eSTEAM Academy, and that is is basically our 8th grade. And the purpose of the eSTEAM Academy is trying to find authentic ways to approach problem-based solving or learning. So again, we don't want to force feed that to the students, the problem-based learning, but to find authentic creative ways for them to go through that process.
Can you give us maybe like an example for people that may not be familiar with it?
Yeah. That's a good question. Well, so, if kids, problem-based learning is something that's authentic. It's inquiry. It's kids are inquisitive about a certain aspect or something that is authentic to them, that they really have a passion that they want to unravel the layers of understanding, right? So that could be anything. If a student has a
So say like if they want to understand the recycling process, they're wondering what happens to this bottle when I put it in recycling. Is that
absolutely that could be absolutely, and then how the implications or the connections that might have with their curriculum that they're studying right now currently. But again, it's that discovery learning. And so, again, that the teachers are trying to find ways, and it also happens through our connections. We have visual tech and tech ed, and so the connections are kind of geared towards those types of things for kids to have that research, problem-based learning introduction, so to speak.
Right. Problem solving. There's organizations like the Odyssey of the Mind that aren't official programs within the school, but the school sort of supports it because kids are a part of it, parents are supporting it. So that's not in every school. It just depends on the parents, right? I think we discussed before how even the school you came from, getting parental involvement at meetings to help out was difficult. It was a difficult process. I don't think you'll have that problem at Pinckneyville Middle School.
Right.
I think there are quite a few parents involved in that. And everyone has what they would like to see done and stuff. So how do you think you can take advantage of all that help, let's say, coming in, the PTA, they run they run certain programs outside of the school, if you will, that are student-oriented, like the Odyssey of the Mind, like the fairs, I think the festivals that go on at the school. Are there any thoughts about how you want to interact and work with them?
Yeah, first off, from the second I stepped in the building, I was told by my boss and Marcy and the custodians and other parents just about how great the PTA and the parents are, and they are. I've already met with the PTA, and they hosted a meet and greet. Last week, and so that was a really good turnout, and it just gave me a chance to put my face and name together for them. We had about 50 folks who showed up at the school for that, and my wife was there, and my kids were there, and so. It was a good turnout, but we got great support in the Pinckneyville community, and that's what everyone has told me from that. Everyone that I've encountered has said what strong support I have and what good thing. I'd like to embrace those kinds of things. I want to embrace that parental support and work alongside them, and again to help move the school forward. I think if it's done right and it's done properly, it's nothing but an attribute, and and helps move the school. Whether it's an Odyssey of the Mind or whether it's PTA wanting to help our teachers and or it's just volunteering at the school.
Cool. So, digging in a little bit deeper, is you're in understanding that you're still getting to know the school and some of the challenges. From your perspective, or either from what you've heard from parents or from what you've been able to observe on your own, what do you see as the greatest challenge for Pinckneyville?
That's a great question. I think one of the, just continuing to keep and to move the kids instructionally, and to move the school instructionally, and just keeping it at the where Marcy's got it. That's going to be a definite big challenge. There's there's a good bit of transiency in the school, and so and that goes with staff and students. So yeah, just keeping that work moving forward and continue to do the great things. I mean, that's probably going to be one of the biggest challenges. But I'm ready for that. We got a great administrative team. They're ready for that, and I know the teachers are going to be ready for that. And again, Marcy has laid such a great foundation that we just got to continue doing the great things that she was doing, and of course, I'm sure we'll change some things along the way. You mentioned earlier some of, my background being at GIF for the last 9 years. I'm sure, I'm going to see something. There's going to be some things there that I can see that I might have a couple ideas about where we can move and make some changes. But again, in the meantime, just sitting back, learning from these folks, and it's a great school, great community, and just working together to move the school forward.
We had another comment online about maybe highlighting what makes this middle school different and maybe more attractive to families, in addition to the IB program part of it. Do you see any, let's look at this, let's take that question a little further, because we discussed this a little bit. It's an interesting proposition of how middle school that's fed in from several schools becomes almost a jumping point. Mm-hmm. Some people take their kids from elementary school, and hopefully I'm not going too far in advance, but go from elementary school, Simpson, which is, I think, no doubt one of the best elementary schools in the county, probably in the state, and then jump Pinckneyville to go to private school. Now, there are some people that go from private to public school through the middle school years, but usually that happens when they go to Norcross High. Norcross has a certain mystique about it, I guess, and has produced quite a few athletes and quite a few educational models. But what do you find then, that attractiveness to Pinckneyville Middle School itself? Do you see, any reason to jump? Do you see, how can you address that? How can you address people's concerns, let's say, because Pinckneyville Middle, like most middle schools that are feeding from several schools, maybe has a diversity, maybe has certain challenges, and some people just because they want their kids to go to middle school because they're afraid, go to private school rather than public middle school. Kids are reaching a certain age and things can happen and stuff, and it's an eye-opening for a lot of kids. How do you address that?
Well, and I can appreciate every family's got to do what they feel is best for them. But I would challenge anyone, if you've never had if you have not had one of your own children go to the school, a lot of times when I hear things like that, it's folks that may not send their kids to the school. The parents that I talk to, everyone has been so complimentary about the good things that are going on there. And there are some really good things going on at Pinckneyville. One of the things I'd like to mention, that one of the great things that Marcy did, I know like this past spring, our sixth grade math DA scores were the highest in the district.
Right.
So, I mean, that's, accomplishments like that. There's some really good things going on there. I did speak to 2 parents this week that registered their kids who are coming to Pinckneyville from the private school side. And, I have nothing against the private school side or anything like that. It's just I was glad to hear that they're going to take advantage of it.
Did they share why, the reasons for deciding that? Was it?
No, I didn't go into too much of that with them. One of them just had mentioned that her son had just had a really rough year last year and just left it at that. So, again, I can appreciate every family's got to do what's best for them. I can certainly understand that, but I can promise you, coming to Pinckneyville, you're going to get a world-class education. You're going to get a school that is going to be safe. That you're going to feel excited when you send your child to the school every day. That your kid's going to get a very high level, rigorous education every single day, and it's something that you'd be proud of. So give us a chance. If you're one of those parents who you're on the fence on that, please give us a chance. Come by. Feel free to come and speak with me or talk with me, walk to school with me. And let me just give us an opportunity.
And so, Todd, you said something that was almost verbatim with what I've said in the past, and that before we went to Peachtree Elementary School, we heard a lot of things in the community that weren't positive about the school. And there is significant socioeconomic disparities in the school and so forth, and that was and so part of what we heard was the influence that a negative influence that would have and so forth. And what we started to do, we started to dig in, and what we realized is that information, that negative information about the school was only coming from people that had never sent their children there. And so as we began to dig in and talk to people, that we found that the people that had actually sent their kids there had nothing but very high praises for the school, and so being very inquisitive and investigative, I realized that I could put the weight on the people that actually had the experience firsthand, and then ultimately discounted all the other information. And so my kids are in 3rd and 5th grade there now, and we are so happy to be at that school and to be a part of this at Peachtree Elementary School. Yes. And so every parent that I speak to that have their kids there really feels the same way. And some of those parents were parents that even thought about starting private school, that were zoned to Peachtree. They thought about going to private school, but for different reasons did not, and now have told me that they're so glad that they are at Peachtree Elementary, and in fact, even had pushed back on some of the redistricting, or made sure that they could stay there when the school was redistricted. So I totally appreciate that point, and for people listening, it is if you are thinking about Pinckneyville Middle School, or your kids are middle school age, please take the time to talk to parents that have their kids there, or have had their kids there, to really that'll give you an accurate picture for you to make a better decision on. So.
Absolutely.
And my kids, all of them, went through Pinckneyville Middle, all 3 of them. And going through Pinckneyville Middle when the IB program was introduced even, and then through Norcross High School. I mean, the IB program by itself instilled in them a certain way to study and a certain way to progress in their studies, that by the time 2 of them hit college, their first year or 2 were a breeze compared to Norcross High School's IB program, and the meticulousness of how they had to write papers, how they had to progress in the education. And my son, who graduated middle school at Pinckneyville, I mean, he was twice science fair participant, almost 3 times actually. Got a little bored of that part of it, but there's so many things going on there. I mean, he was always home doing his work, and so he was always challenged every day. And the diversity, and I grew up in Brooklyn, so diversity to me in a public school setting and city college is no big deal. But to them, it provided a big world education to them. Something out there that they can look at and say, wow, there's just more than just what I think there is. And, and that just instills more creativity, quite frankly, because you see different sides of things.
Yeah. And for those listening, IB is International Baccalaureate, for people that may not know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we are unique in Gwinnett County to have that opportunity that you can begin school at Peachtree Elementary School, which is an IB school, an International Baccalaureate school, go on to Pinckneyville Middle School, and then on to Norcross High School, all 3 schools of which are part of the International Baccalaureate program, and graduate with an IB degree, or diploma. So. We're again, great asset what they have there, and it's the IB teaches them a way of thinking, and being in a global environment with demographics that reflect our world, our county and our world. Really, in my opinion, better prepares my kids and our students, I think, to succeed in the world that they're going to be in when they graduate.
It gives them a little bit more sensitivity to what the world is about. That it's not just all about them, and see how other kids have to. Because maybe not every kid has the same resources, to
understand the challenges that their neighbor has or that their community has, and some of those challenges, and to be able to be problem solvers, which is part of the IB process, and to be one of the problem solvers in our community as they grow up and to learn to be critical thinkers as well. I mean, you just don't want everything coming at you. You want to be able to know what's real and what's not. We're not talking fake news here, but we're talking the ability to understand and just absorb it, and not just say, I saw it on YouTube. It's just right. I mean, it's the whole process. If you got the right teachers doing it, which is what help them make those right decisions in life. And at the end of the day, our schools are fantastic, but if we as parents aren't talking to our kids, it has been told to me, and as I grow older as a parent and more seasoned as a parent, I try to be cognizant of how important it is to talk to our kids. And I don't talk to our kids enough. And so I try to be conscious of it and take that time to talk to them more. Be able to talk with them about what they're experiencing in school. And how those experiences impact those students' lives and our child's life, and have those conversations. That more than anything, I think, as parents can help them manage what they face in school, regardless of where they go to school, and to be prepared to make the right decisions and go on into the world. So.
Life's complicated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of challenges and complications, I mean, I remember my middle school years. It was. I would, to put it like, I think I was probably a pretty good challenge for my parents. I was the middle child, so I'm placing some blame there. But certainly my parents had a challenge with me. I was so I think the middle school years as a whole are tough in general. I think for a lot of kids. Todd, what do you see as some of the challenges facing middle school kids and how those are dealt with in a middle school environment, and how the school's role in kind of teaching them, but really working with them as they go through life changes at this young age? Yeah,
that's a good one right there. Middle school is, they come out of elementary school and it's very, very, very structured, and then there's a good amount of freedom that's given to them in the middle school, and not too much. Lauren thinks that first day of sixth grade, she's going to be walking to school wherever she wants to go. But they do a really good job of transitioning those kids from the elementary up to middle. But the kids are experiencing their bodies are changing. Their minds are changing, and so I don't know if there's any truth to that. Someone had told me one time that they experience more change from the ages from sixth grade to eighth grade than they do from the ages of like 0 to 3.
Wow.
So, think about that. That's middle school for you.
Yeah.
Parents keep on warning me. They say, wait till middle school. Because my kids I have great kids. And it's like, wait till middle school. I'm afraid.
It's raging hormones. Yeah. In fact, one of my kids said, after I asked him, this was the first week of experience at middle school. It was my first son. And I said, how'd it go? He said, the bathrooms are a big education to me, Dad. I was like, really? So it is, because, it's amazing how that works, right? Because you have transition from class to class. And it's, in other countries, in Japan, I think, kids stay in the class and the teacher comes to the class. But here in the States, we move the kids through the hallway, through a different classroom. I don't know how that started, actually. It almost makes more sense to move the teachers around, but
It's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure for our kids, that's an important part of their day to a kid, to a sixth grade kid transitioning from one end. That's very important to them. We kind of take it for granted, but that's they're so in tune with what people think of them, and they're so wrapped up in that, and they're so wrapped up, in being seen positively by their peers and things like that. So those are definitely some challenges of middle school, and that's why we have counselors and we have teachers who are trained to deal with those kinds of things. And again, sometimes me as the principal, it's good for me to come down to their level sometimes and just be a real person, just be able to talk to them and have a relationship with them and be able to talk to them like a peer might be able to talk to them, and that's fun to do. So. But that is middle school. That is girls start getting angry, and there's a little bit of girl drama that always takes place and things like that, and they develop so much faster than boys do, and things like that. It's an awkward stage. It can be an awkward stage for some kids.
I remember this past year, whenever it was not a snow day, but it was a day that the kids have to stay home, it became known as a digital day. The first time they tried that, there was a lot of work sent home. Probably, theoretically, the amount of work they should be doing in a classroom, but in real life, all that work doesn't get done in a classroom. And I remember my son saying, this is way too much stuff. And he's not a complainer usually. But they adjusted it, actually, because they heard lots of that comment. But there are digital days that are done at Pinckneyville, where if you're home because of snow or ice or whatever it is, usually ice or something like that, the work gets done at home and it gets delivered in. Textbooks are online to some degree, although my son still had a hefty backpack. So, I mean, about that thick. He looked like a Marine going up a hill. But do you see any changes coming over the next year or two from Gwinnett as far as, putting everything online maybe, where do you see any of that as an educator? And looking overview as opposed to specific, let's say, Pinckneyville Middle, do you see that as something coming over the next year or two?
I do. I don't know about every student, but definitely opportunities and programs. I would say definitely that is definitely on the move. As you know, in Gwinnett we have Gwinnett Online Campus. So,
right.
For example, they may have a program that they push into a school, maybe to work with a certain group of students within a certain school. Maybe that in a middle school setting, that might be something where middle school students who are taking high school courses, so to speak, where that might be an opportunity. Yeah. So there's things like that. The E-class digital learning days.
Right.
Right now at Pinckneyville, that's just in a model where, if there is a snow day or something like that, or a day we have to miss, that we can do a digital E-class day. I know there are other schools that are pushing having a few more of those. I think the Paul Duke new high school here in the cluster, I think they're going to have digital learning days every Friday.
Correct. It'll be a 4-day week with the Friday as and you still can go into the school and actually do it at the school,
right?
Or you could choose to do it at home. But yeah, rigorous.
Yeah. Again, just creating more opportunities for kids. As many opportunities as we can create for them. Just to help them be more successful.
Cool. We're getting close to the end of the hour.
So maybe tell us some things that you'd like to share with our listeners and with us that we haven't discussed, or as you think about the year ahead and about your new role and.
I'm just looking forward to a great year. I'm looking forward to meeting more of the community and getting to know more of the community and getting to. I really can't wait for the kids to come back. That's when it's exciting. When first day of school, when the buses roll up and kids get off the bus, and you better be ready. So
the excitement.
That's really what I'm looking forward to, and just even the staff. I haven't really had a chance to meet all of the staff. We've had opportunities for me to meet with them, but several of them are on vacation and out of town and things like that. So I'm just looking forward to a great year. We're going to have a great year. We're going to do really great things this year, and it's moving fast. As you said, August 6th will be here before we know it. But we will be ready to go, and we're going to have a great year.
I know a lot of the comments that I get from the community is thrilled that you're there as our principal. The fact that you have kids that go there, you're familiar with the school, but most importantly is that you live in this community. You are part of this community, and to have you at the middle school, I think people are very happy about that and think that Gwinnett County did a wonderful job selecting you as the principal for that middle school. So,
well, thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was very kind, and I've received a lot of positive feedback on that. More than I thought I would receive on that. I do have a vested interest. Again, my kids will be going here, and we live here. I think my front door is 2.5 miles from the front door of Pinckneyville, so I'm pretty close. We worship in this community. We play in this community. My son, does karate. My daughter does volleyball and tennis, and. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind giving a little shout out to my one son, Davis. He's in Japan right now with Taido, and Taido took 85 folks over to Japan for 10 days, and they're coming home tomorrow. So he can't wait to see him back. But yeah, we play in this community, we worship in this community. we work in this community, and we just love the Peachtree Corners family and community, and I'm excited that the community seems to be excited that someone local is here.
Nice.
Cool. Very good. So,
well, I guess the only thing I would have is really for our audience is we'll be planning for our next show. So if you have any ideas of things you'd like us to cover on the Ed Hour, please email them in or message.
Right. You can either go to the Facebook page and post a note there or message me on there, or send an email to Rico, R-I-C-O, at PeachtreeCornersLife.com. Also want to let you know that the next show will probably be August 23rd. That's a Thursday, just like usual. And the following Thursday is the prime time with Brian Johnson, the city manager.
So again, please take this time. We haven't picked the topic yet for the next show or guest. So if there's a topic or guest, please let us know as soon as you can, and we'd love to consider it for our next show or a future show. But I'd like to say, Todd, thank you so much for being with us today. I know that we were certainly looking forward to meeting with you and getting to know more about you, and I know that many people in the community were as well, and I'm sure glad to have this opportunity to hear from you and get to know you a little bit better and get to know a little bit more about Pinckneyville. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Todd.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. And I just want to throw out one more thing before we end. Peachtree Corners Life does a podcast every week, as this is part of an outgrowth of that. And I'm scheduling guests along the way. And the next guest that I have scheduled is actually Beth Moore, which is for August 9th. That's a Thursday evening at 8:30. We'll do that Facebook Live. She's actually a candidate, as a Democratic candidate, for a House seat. I believe the incumbent is Scott Hilton. So she's running for that seat. She'll be a guest on August 9th. Hope you join us. And just check out PeachtreeCornersLife.com for other things.
And just lastly, just a shout out to Prototype Prime, and to thank Prototype Prime for letting us broadcast from their wonderful podcast studio here in Peachtree Corners. So Thank you, Prototype Prime, and always a great partner with us, and we do appreciate it.
Thank you. See you guys.
Thanks.